Hey everyone, Rob Franek, Editor-in-Chief here at the Princeton Review. Thank you, as always, for tuning into this, a special update on the new digital version of the SAT. I'm just going to say this right up at the beginning of this video. It is pretty perfectly timed that the College Board is making this on the one-year anniversary of them announcing that the SAT subject test would be kaput. The College Board, of course, the creators of all things SAT, have done the same thing now for number 2 pencils. Yes, that is right. The College Board just announced that the SAT is changing in a tectonic way. Simply put, the SAT is on its way to becoming a fully digital test. Yes, the College Board is fully replacing the current pencil and paper SAT. That is, as of 2024, for the majority of students right here in these United States. As always, our job at the Princeton Review is to give you the most up-to-date information as we receive it. So today, we're going to cover what you need to know right now regarding timeline for the new test, test structure, content scoring, literally the works as to what we know right now. First off, the obvious question that you're likely asking is, why did it take so long for the College Board to offer a digital SAT? Friends, if this question is up in your noggin, you are not alone. The truth is that the College Board has been alluding to digital tests for quite some time now, particularly over the last 2 years due to some security breaches with the exam and most certainly the shaky reliability of the pencil and paper versions of the test through our COVID times. That all said, here's what you need to know. The SAT will transition fully to digital. It will be a computer-based test and will officially no longer be offered as a pencil and paper test, save for students with special test accommodations. This will roll out without question over the next 2 years of time in staggered dates. First off, beginning in March of 2023, all students taking the SAT at international testing centers will take the digital version of the test. Then, beginning of fall of 2023, all students taking the PSAT, now that's the preliminary SAT, will take it as a digital version of the test. However, SAT School Day and SAT Weekend administrations in the U.S. will still stay as a pencil and paper administration. That is until the spring of 2024, when all students will be taking the exam in a digital format. Now, this translates to, if you're part of the class of 2025, that's current day 9th graders, you will be the first students in the U.S. to actually take the new digital SAT. If you're in the class of 2024, that's current day 10th graders, you will be taking the current version, the current pencil and paper version of the test. Okay, now that covers us for timeline and just some general housekeeping things, but what about the structure of the new exam? Well, the digital SAT will be an adaptive, more specifically, adaptive bisection test. That means that the new digital SAT won't be the same for all test takers, meaning that your performance on the first section of the digital version will determine the next set of questions that you'll get in the second section. Now, as you know, our team at the Princeton Review has been teaching students how to crush the SAT for many years now. We also have deep experience in teaching directly to computer adaptive tests, as this new SAT will undoubtedly be in 2024. Now, friends, we hear over and over again from our current SAT students that they have 2 big stressors around the pencil and paper version of the SAT. The first off is testing fatigue. It is tough to stay focused for 3 hours of time on that current test day, and we understand that that is a reality. The second is about not being able to use calculators on some of the math sections on the test. Well, if you are worried about those same things and you are eligible to take that digital exam in 2024, then friends, the College Board is whispering sweet music directly into your ears, because the new digital version of the test will plain and simple be shorter, from the current day 3 hours to about a 2-ish hour exam. Now, the College Board heard pretty massive praise when they removed the SAT essay requirement for the SAT back in 2016 because it made the test nearly 30 minutes shorter. We are, of course, anticipating that same chorus as a reaction to this new digital exam in 2024. Now, The College Board also notes that although the new test will be shorter, it will be as predictive as the current pencil and paper test. Now, as you know, colleges using the SAT in their admission process and, of course, their aid award decisions will care deeply about that promise from the College Board. And we should say this out loud. The jury is still out on the predictive value of the new test, as large groups of students haven't yet taken it. Just small groups have taken it so far in the College Board's research. Nonetheless, the College Board claims that the new test will be predictive due to the adaptive nature of the questions. But let us also note that students taking the digital test will benefit from other time-saving efficiencies. There will be less time needed overall for exam setup and time-consuming preamble currently done by an in-person SAT monitor. Suffice it to say that all of this saves time, making the overall SAT experience shorter. Now, as I said before, students' second biggest stressor was around calculator usage. That will also be diffused in the new exam. The new digital exam for the SAT will have a built-in graphing calculator for students, or they can exercise their right to bring their own. Friends, gone are the days when the questions preclude you from using a calculator, which is also good news. It's also important to note on the digital version of the test that the reading passages themselves will be shorter than those in the current pencil and paper test. The questions will be more direct and hence likely much easier for students to answer. On test days themselves, students will be able to bring their own computers or their own tablets if they wish, but no sweat if students choose not to do that, because they can use those provided directly at the testing center. This all underscores the fact that the new digital version of the SAT will need to be taken in a test center or at an in-school administration for the SAT. The digital SAT will not be a take-home test, such as the AP exams were in May and June of 2020. There's also no change to the big number for those of you who are aiming to get a perfect score on the SAT. 1600 will still be a perfect score on this hallowed test. However, scoring on the digital SAT will be far different from the current day standard, right? It will no longer be tallied simply based on right and wrong answers. Answers will be weighted. Now let's just remember, up at the beginning of this segment, we mentioned that tests will have an adaptive structure. So scoring on the new test will depend on each question's level of difficulty. And all that said, folks, what we can promise you here from our perch at the Princeton Review is that we will continue to bring you the most up-to-date information as soon as we receive it. So whether the College Board's transition to a fully digital SAT will address the underlying problems with the SAT, of course, remains to be seen. But rest assured that we are all asking the questions on our side that you likely have in your minds now. Will the digital SAT address or exasperate inequalities for students' access to technology, testing security, the predictive nature of a test? Will more or fewer colleges and universities actually use the SAT in admission decisions and scholarship awards? And the questions, of course, go on from there. And will continue, as we have, of course, here at the Princeton Review for the last 40 years, to be in your corner with resources to help students just like you across the planet score the best on this new version of the digital SAT and everything in between. Folks, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to our channel for the latest and the greatest information on testing and tutoring and admission advice and financial aid guidance and much, much more. Rob Franek, Editor-in-Chief here at the Princeton Review, signing off for today. Be well.